Hello and welcome again to another edition of Mets Musings. Well, after going on a very successful West Coast trip, 7-3, didn't end that great the last couple of games for the Mets, but they came home and they have been in a funk. And joining me this week to talk about it is my good buddy, and I know you love him too. He's the co host of Baseball and Barbecue, Jeff Cohen. Jeff, welcome to Mets Musings.
I just wish it was under better circumstances. Not very happy right now.
Well, I know that you aren't happy, Jeff, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you have the stage here and let you get a little bit off your chest what you want to get off, and then we'll chat. All right.
Okay.
So take it away.
Well, you're right. They had a successful. Did lose the last two games. Happens, okay, but you win against the Dodgers 2 out of 3. That's great. Split against the Giants. Okay, you're supposed to beat Oakland, and they did. They come home and they play the Nationals. Time to get fat, right? No, they lose 2 out of 3. Losing that first game, okay, to come back, jet lag, give me all that BS, okay. But Josiah Gray was very good. They finally got his number, but they should have won 2 out of 3 against the Nats. Braves, first of all, they should not have played last Friday. That was ridiculous, and the umpires couldn't wait to stop that game. They couldn't wait for someone to have to leave and stop that game. They should never have played. It is what it is. They should have never lost that first game of the doubleheader on Monday. They scored 8 runs. Of course, they give up 9. You have a bullpen game. The guy with no name, Danny Reyes. Please, why is he pitching? I get the bullpen game, but be it as it may, they should have beaten them that day, and then they win this nightcap. Thank goodness. They almost blew it. Remember, they almost blew it there, but they finally came through. And then they go to Detroit. And we're recording this between doubleheaders. The first game they lost 6-5 against Detroit. Detroit is one of the worst teams in the league. They're last in runs scored, but they scored 1 more than the Mets, and they won. They're playing right now in a schedule with Detroit, the Rockies, the Reds, and the Nationals. They're playing 13 games. They should go 10-3. Well, now they have to go 10-2 because they just lost the first game. Unbelievable. The pitching is atrocious. I know Scherzer was suspended, and who knows how long he's going to pitch in the second game today. I don't know when this is going to air, but I guarantee he's not going more than 5 innings. Verlander starting tomorrow. Again, first start of the year, he's not going more than 5 innings. Tyler McGill can't go more than 5 innings. His bugger was the 6th inning. He's done. You can't. Peterson, he's a lefty. You need him to come back and be good, and he wasn't. He hasn't been good. It's up to here. They got to get depth in their starting pitching. They got to go. You get 6 innings, you're thrilled. You should go 7 innings, 8 innings. And I know, people complaining today on Twitter, they with Diaz out. Well, Diaz wouldn't have stopped them today. It didn't happen. They lost the lead in the 8th inning. It's just ridiculous. And I got to tell you, Lindor, I know he had a home run today. He's batting .220. You can't get that out of a guy making $340 million. He's got to be better. If Lindor doesn't hit and Alonso doesn't hit, they're not winning. I mean, I love Nimmo. Marte is getting back into shape. Beatty's been good lately. But, if the team is only going where Alonso and Lindor will take him, and Lindor, even though despite the home run today, stinks right now. He's got to get better. He is striking out, 2-3 times a game? It's just horrible. And he looks horrible at the plate. All right, rant over.
Well, I can't disagree with anything that you said. I mean, they are struggling, and they all look like they're trying to hit the 4-run home run again instead of making contact. The only guys really hitting are Batty and Alvarez. He didn't play the first game. He started. Well, as you can see, we had a little technical problem. And that means that the rest of the discussion is not available. Perhaps it will be sometime in the future. But we discussed the bullpen and the weaknesses and not anything ground shaking, but just our opinions. And I'm glad you got to hear Jeff's rant because it did was really the main reason for him coming on to get his feelings across about how this team is playing, and it's not good. Marte is struggling. He's not the same player he was the year before. If his neck is an issue, then they should sit him down. I would like to see him try Mauricio at second base, bring him up. They need an inspiration. Move to McNeil to right field, have Mauricio play second. I know he's learning, and I know it'd be learning on the job training, but they need that bat right now. They need something to spark this team. They're very dull. And this is what we've talked about, Jeff and I. We discussed possibility of it being a hangover from last year's Braves series and going into this Braves series and not faring as well. It could continue on. Um, is there a psychological hangover from the loss of Diaz and all the other pitching injuries? These are all possibilities, but all I know is that this team is very dull. It looks like it lackadaisical. I'm not saying they're not trying. I'm sure they're trying 100%, but there's not the same swagger that they had last season when they were running roughshod through the National League. Just not there this year. We saw glimpses of it in the West Coast trip, but not at home. We're not seeing it. And today again, losing the first game of the doubleheader with Detroit. So that's what we discussed, and we discussed the fact that there's 13 games coming up against losing ball clubs, and the month of May, Jeff made the point, is a lot of weak teams. This is the time that they have to try to fatten up. They have to win. Excuse me, and they have to uh, fatten up their record and hold the fort until the guys will come back. Quintana may be back in June. They're going to get some other guys back in May. Carrasco should be back, I would believe. Navarez, we're not going to see until July, so Alvarez will be here. He could cement the number one job by then. I still think he needs a little bit more seasoning, but I will give him credit. He's starting to hit a little bit. He's starting to get more comfortable at the plate and starting to hit. So who knows? I mean, he could take over number one spot by the time Navarez gets back, and it'll be interesting to see if it's Nito or Alvarez that goes down at that point. But this team needs something. We will see. Scherzer's going to start game 2 tonight. Verlander could be a big boost tomorrow coming back. We'll see how that those two guys have to uplift this team. They have to boost this team up, take them on their shoulders, and push them. And Lindor has just been awful with the bat striking out. It looks like he either strikes out or hits a home run. Same thing with Alonso. He's been struggling lately and striking out a lot. Lindor is striking out, excuse me, at an alarming rate. And so those guys got to get that under control and start making contact. And I'm sorry we didn't have the rest of the interview with Jeff, but these things happen, and we'll try to correct it in the future. Right now, I'll be back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Did you know that Baseball PhD can be heard on BaseballTalkRadio.com?
Our shows rotate with other top baseball podcasts.
Now don't forget, that's BaseballTalkRadio.com.
With us, we'll help you get a PhD in life through baseball.
With BaseballTalkRadio.com, you'll hear the rest of the excellent universe of baseball podcasts.
Hello, baseball fans. You're listening to Baseball Talk Radio, the home of great baseball talk shows. At BaseballTalkRadio.com, you're going to find great shows like this one with the great Gary Mack and the MetsMusings podcast. And now back to the show.
Okay, and we are back, and I think it's time. Let's go down on the farm. Why aren't we going? Let's go on the farm. Right. Well, down on the farm, Mark Vientos and Ronnie Mauricio continue to hit like crazy. They are having a super year down there. Syracuse is struggling a little bit, but they're above 500. Let's see if I can get their record up here. Syracuse is at the 500 mark. They are 14-14 on the year. And Binghamton is 10-10 on the year, so they're at the 500 mark. Going into play tonight, the Cyclones are 7-11 as they go into play, but they've had a big win last night. Tyler Stewart struck out 9 in a no decision effort, but the Cyclones came back to win in a walk-off fashion, 4-3. Kevin Parada had 3 hits, so he's starting to get his bat warmed up. Oscar De Los Santos has had his 11th and 12th stolen base on the season as he continues to be a pest on the base paths. Alex Ramirez didn't have a good night last night. He went over 3, but all in all, a good evening for the Brooklyn Cyclones. And the St. Lucie Mets, St. Lucie is struggling this year. They are at 5-17 going into today's action. Now, there was a call up to Syracuse. Nathan Lavender, left-handed pitcher, was called up to the Syracuse Mets from Binghamton. He'll be there replacing Muhlenheim, who got called up to the Mets. So that's all the action on the farm right now as they get ready for tonight's action as well. So, hope you enjoyed our guest, Jeff Cohen. Thank you so much, Jeff, for coming on today. I know we had a little Wi-Fi problem. Don't know which end it was on, but hopefully you'll get the gist of the conversation anyway. And, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you liked it. And we will see you again next time. Please like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching the broadcast, or if you're listening to it on Spotify or any podcast catcher that you may have. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, any of those we're on. Please hit the subscribe button as well. And if they have a like button, please like the podcast as well. It helps us to grow the show and expand to new listeners. So until next time, remember to keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. And I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.